Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Go Healthy, our weight management program here at Best Health. As you can see, this is our introduction class. For those who I have not met through the in-body testing, my name is Patrick Kahn, and I'm one of the well-being specialists at the Best Health Wellbeing Program at Baptist, and I'm glad to see everybody online here. Hopefully you didn't have any trouble getting on the meeting today. Uh, as you can see, or probably on your screen, I am recording this. So what my goal is every week to record this, get it converted over to a YouTube channel or whatever over the next few days, and then send it out to everyone so you can review it. Or if you were to miss a class, you can have it to look over. And of course, if you have any questions from that, you can always reach out to me. So also, I do have everyone's mic on mute. If you would like to unmute your mic as we go along to ask any questions, you can simply unmute your mic. And then once you're done with those questions, you can always mute it back. Also, I have the chat feature available. So if you prefer to send a question or a comment through the chat feature, you're welcome to do that as well. So I think that's all the basic information I wanted to kind of get or go over before we get started. Before we kind of get rolling, hello, Catherine. Does anyone have any questions or comments before we start our presentation for the day? Okay. And if that chat does pop up, I will grab it as it comes through. Yes, Jim. Good question by Jim. Jim asked if the cameras were off. Yes, I intentionally cut everybody's camera off just to make sure there's no distractions if anything is in the background or anything like that. So yes, your cameras are off, but your mics can be enabled when you just unmute it. So great question. Any other questions? All righty. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to start off introducing the purpose of our program and then the resources we use for this program. We're also going to introduce the 3 goals of our program. Also, we're going to introduce the 5 fundamentals of this program. We're then going to discuss specifically the first and the second of the 5 fundamentals. So what we're going to be doing today and over the next 3 weeks is taking a targeted approach of each one of the fundamentals. So obviously today we're going to be looking at the first and the second fundamental. Also, we're going to discuss one optional record keeping tool. And you see the word is optional, okay? We're going to talk about that near the end of the presentation today. All right. And then we're going to assign the week's action steps. What we will do every week, we will conclude by giving you an action step for the upcoming week. Okay, so we're going to be doing that near the very end. We'll then introduce next week's topic, and then we will conclude by answering any questions that you may have. Okay, all right. So the program purpose and the resources. So the purpose of this program is to give you the tools to build sustainable, healthy eating habits to meet nutrient needs, promote health and prevent and manage chronic diseases, all by following the dietary guidelines for Americans and also the USDA's My Plate. You're going to see in next week's class, we're going to talk more about the USDA's My Plate, which gives us a visual cue of basically what our plate should look like with all the 5 food groups. Okay. Then with this class, we're going to specifically set nutrition and activity goals through our 5 Go Healthy fundamentals that I will introduce shortly. Now, the resources that are included in this course, number one is that program booklet. So last, I think Tuesday, when I emailed everybody the introduction email, it did include that program booklet uh, as I think a PDF. So you each week can look over that, look over it before class, after class, go back, you can move ahead if you would like to, etc. Okay, so you have that program booklet. And then one more resource is the optional Go Healthy tracker that we will talk about near the end of class today. So again, that's the program purpose and the resources, which now takes us to the goals of our program. So the goals of our program, there's 3 of these, all right? And I'm going to introduce these and then I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of them. So you can see the first goal of our program is weight management. The second goal of this program is health improvement. And then the third goal of this program, and everyone gets excited about this, is having the opportunity to have your name thrown into a drawing for a $100, $75, or $50 gift card. All right. And you're going to see the requirements for that shortly. So let's give you a kind of a brief description or a little bit more in-depth information about each one of these goals. And again, as I go along, you can always unmute your mic. You can send me a chat if you have questions or comments. So let's look at the first and the second goal, the first one being weight management. So weight management, I like to give you a general definition of what that is. And that definition of weight management is that it's a set of practices and behaviors necessary to keep one's body weight at a healthy level. Now, according to the National Institute of Health, a healthy weight and health risk involves using 3 key measures. The first measure is body mass index, which is essentially a measurement of your body weight in relation to your height and how it correlates to chronic diseases. The second key measure here is waist circumference. So it deals with how your body fat is distributed. Specifically, they said a waist circumference for women, which they prefer women to not be over 35 inches, and they prefer men to not be over 40 inches. So it's how your body fat is distributed and how it relates to your health risk. And then the third key measure is risk factors for diseases. And that would be things like hypertension, your cholesterol levels, your blood glucose levels, maybe a family history of heart disease, your level of physical activity, if you smoke or not, alcohol consumption, etc. Now, if you want to see specific details on how to assess your weight and your health risk based on what I said, you can refer back to that email that I sent you last Tuesday, and it has a document attached there that says Go Healthy Weight Management Goals, and it will tell you more about what I just talked about. And like I just said, you can do an assessment of your own key measurements here. Okay. Now, I will say weight loss. If you do have a weight loss goal for this class, and you may or may not, some people maybe want to just maintain their weight. Some might want to gain weight. Some might want to lose weight. However, if your goal is weight loss, we typically set in this 13-week course a 5% weight loss goal. The reason we do that is because it can be very attainable in this 13 to 14 week time period. Plus, the 5% weight loss has been shown to help improve your overall health and your well being. Now, if you want to know some specifics about that 5% weight loss goal, how to calculate that, how to measure that, is some more details there. Again, you can go back and look at that Go Healthy Weight Management Program document, and it'll tell you more about that. Okay. So before we move on to the second goal of the program, does anyone have any questions based on this general weight management goal? If so, you can unmute your mic or you can send me a chat. Okay. And again, if that chat pops up, I will grab it when it comes through. So, weight management is one of the goals of the program. The second one is health improvement. And this is about the prevention or the management of disease, premature death, and also the improvement of your quality of life and your well being. And then the third and final goal of the program, like I said earlier, people get excited about, is your opportunity to have your name thrown into that drawing to win one of three Amazon gift cards valued at 100, the second one at 75, the third one at 50. The only stipulation for your name to be thrown into this drawing is attendance. And we're just saying you need to attend 10 out of the 13 classes. 10 out of the 13 classes, okay? What I will do each day, specifically in the morning, I will go through and I will check roll and I will mark if you're in attendance. Of course, if you see your name on this meeting, I also will be able to see your name in this meeting and on the attendance record. If you did simply call in by a phone number, and I do see one number that called in, you will need to email me after class and let me know who that is and what number you called in from, so I can make sure I can get you in attendance, because all I can see is just a phone number. So again, if you do just simply call in by phone number, email me after class and just say, hey, this is so-and-so, I called in at number whatever, okay? And that will help me get you in attendance. So any questions that you might have about the goal of the Amazon gift card drawing? All right. Must be doing good. Okay. So now that's going to take us to the introduction to the five fundamentals of this program. Basically, in conjunction with our dietary guidelines, our My Plate, how we're going to reach our goals. Okay. Now, this is on page 3 of your booklet. If you want to refer to that, that's on page 3 of your booklet. So let's give you an introduction to all five, because what we're going to do today, we're just going to pull out 2 today and talk about those. So the first fundamental of this program is using the guide to smart food choices. The second fundamental of this program is water consumption with a goal of 64 ounces per day. And again, I say the goal. As you know, a goal is something that you shoot for. If 64 ounces is not very smart for you to try to attain right now, that's fine. You set yours a little bit lower. But again, we do set a goal to shoot for, okay? So water intake, and as you can see, this will be today's topic and what we will actually be targeting. Now, the third fundamental of our program is your fruits and your vegetables. You've probably heard that slogan before that said, eat your way to 5 a day. That's going to be the goal that we set in this class, is 5 total servings of fruits and veggies per day. And as you can see, that's going to be next week's topic and next week's target. Okay. And then the fourth fundamental of this class is something we call portion control. So what we're doing is we're looking at the other 3 food groups, your proteins, your grains, and your dairy, and we're going to take that My Plate food guide, and we're going to give you tips on how to make the best highest quality choices within those three food groups and to help you control your portions. And then we also have something else under that fundamental of portion control called meal replacements, which is optional. Uh, Meal replacements in this course is something that we consider to be like frozen entrees, protein shakes, nutrition bars. This is an option for you. It's 1 to 2 a day. Don't worry, we're going to be talking about that along with the My Plate tips for protein, grains, and dairies 2 weeks from today. So that'll be the week 2 topic and the target for that week. And then lastly, the fifth Go Healthy fundamental that will really help us reach those goals is physical activity. And we've set a general physical activity goal of at least 30 to 60 minutes per week. Now, we're going to talk more about that in depth when we get to week 3. All right, that will be our target then. Now, just like I said with the water intake, also with the fruit goal, same thing with physical activity. Again, it's a goal that we shoot for. If you don't think that's very attainable for you at this time, that's fine. You back off on that time and you work toward that. Okay. So again, this is an overview of the 5 fundamentals that we're going to be talking about for this course that'll help you reach your goals. Which, before I move on to looking at our first and our second fundamental, which we'll target today. Any questions, comments? All right. And again, if that chat pops up, I'll grab it when it comes through. So let's look at our first fundamental. And then after these 2 slides, we're going to look at our second fundamental. Again, this is our target for the day. So the first fundamental is the guide to smart food choices. This is listed on page 5 of your program booklet, so you can flip to that or you can look back on that guide to smart food choices. Now, what is the guide to smart food choices? Well, it helps you control your calories by selecting foods based on its calorie density with no restricted foods or calorie counting. Now, let's give you a definition of what calorie density is. Calorie density is the amount of calories in a certain weight or amount of food. So again, let me repeat that. Calorie density is the amount of calories in a certain weight or volume of food. Okay. And that's what the guide to smart food choices is based on. And if you look at it, it's almost based on that traffic light approach of the red, the yellow, and the green. Now, with this guide to smart food choices, there are 3 color-coded food categories, again, all based on calorie density. The first one is the green or the anytime food category. In this category, this is the one, or these are the foods, the beverages that have the lowest amount of calories, the lowest amount of dietary fat, and typically the highest amount of fiber and water. So these are the foods that you can eat a relatively higher volume of food for a relatively low amount of calories. Okay, so these are the green or anytime foods. Now, the second color coded food category is the yellow or the portion controlled foods. Now, these are the ones that the calorie content starts increasing. So the calories are a little bit higher compared to the green or anytime food category. Typically, they have a little bit more dietary fat, and typically they have less fiber and less water. Okay. And then the last color coded food category is called your red or your occasional foods. Now, these are your foods and beverages that are the highest in calories, highest in fat, typically, the least in fiber, and the least in water. Okay. So, again, it's got that appearance of that traffic light approach, where red means stop, yellow means, slow down or yield or caution, green means go. Okay. Now, you may say, well, how do I use this? Great question. And I've got the answer here. Well, several things here that we recommend as far as using this guide to smart food choices. One is to clean out your environment of the high calorie foods from your occasional uh, food category, your occasional food category. So that means maybe looking in your pantry, looking in your refrigerator, or in your office desk, or in the candy bowl, or something like that, and looking at really cleaning out that of all of those red or occasional foods. Okay. Another way to use this guide to smart food choices is to then stock up more on your lower calorie foods from that green or anytime category and the yellow or the portion controlled categories. Now, as far as consuming these, well, we recommend that you consume most of your foods on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, from that green or that anytime category. Again, that's going to be the ones that are typically lower in calories, lower in fat, more fiber, more water. Okay. Also, we recommend, as far as consumption, just consume moderate amounts of the foods that you find in that yellow or the portion controlled category. The reason, again, because the calorie content will be going up. Typically, they may be a little bit higher in fat, less in water, and less in fiber. And then lastly, consume very little amounts of foods from that red or occasional category. Again, the reason, because that calorie content based on that volume or that amount or weight of food really goes up high, typically higher in fat, a lot less water, a lot less fiber. Okay. So that's some ways to use the guide to smart food choices, putting those foods within all those food groups in categories based on their calorie content. So that poses the question, do you have any questions based on the guide to smart food choices? And again, you can unmute your mic, you can send it to chat. Okay. All right. And again, if that chat pops up with a question or comment, I will grab it. All right. So that was that first fundamental that we're going to target moving forward, which takes us to one more fundamental out of the five that we're going to target this week, too. And that's that water consumption. Okay, like I said during the introduction, our goal is to consume at least 64 ounces of water per day. Like I said earlier, that's just a goal that we will shoot for. For some people, it's very easy to drink a lot of water for a day. But for some people, it's more difficult to drink that much water. So if it's more attainable for you to consume 24, 32 ounces of water per day, you know, go to that goal, shoot that goal, and then as time goes along, you can increase that goal. Okay. Uh, got a question, or I guess a statement from Debbie. I don't eat meat and need to know a suitable replacement so I can get my protein in. Yep, great comment, question. Yeah, protein not only comes from animal sources, but also it comes from plant sources. If you're looking at just plant sources of proteins, that would be beans, peas, lentils, nuts, and seeds. Great plant sources of proteins that you can eat. So I hope that answers your question. Jim says it's 64 ounces, the same for men and women. For this program, yes, we just set a general recommendation of 64 ounces of water. Now, if you want to get really specific, there are calculations out there for men, calculations out there for women on water intake that you can simply Google that and it will tell you. Uh, Another recommendation is that you just take your present body weight, divide it in half, and you drink that many ounces of water. Okay. But for our sake, we're just setting the general bare bone recommendation of 64 ounces a day. But good question. Good question, Jim. Okay. All right. Now, you may say, especially people who don't drink a lot of water, what are some tips to drink more water? Well, one way is you can make yourself a water plan. A water plan. I know for me, I don't just naturally drink a lot of water throughout the course of the day. So I have a 20-ounce container, and my plan that I make every day is I drink that 20-ounce container 3 times before I leave work for the day. I drink 20 ounces by mid morning, and then I drink another 20 ounces by mid morning till about 2 o'clock. And then from about 2 until the time I leave the office, I drink another 20 ounces. And I have to make myself that plan because it helps me. Also, carry a water bottle and refill it through the day. Again, I have one of the water bottles that I do that with. Also, they recommend to choose water over sugary beverages. Another option is to opt for water when eating out. So you're going to not only save money, because I don't think they charge you for tap water, they will for bottled water, and it reduces your calories. You get the 0-calorie version. Also, it's recommended to drink 1 glass of water before each meal. Not only is that going to help you get your water intake in, number two, it's very good for digestion. And number three, it'll give you a sense of fullness, especially if you eat foods with a lot of fiber in it. It'll swell in your stomach and give you a sense of fullness. And then this relates to the question from Ted. Ted said, is something like Crystal Light okay? Is something like Crystal Light okay? Yes, it is okay. Again, you want to make sure it's not sweetened with added sugars. But if you can see here on my PowerPoint that I just pulled up, you can try sparkling water. You can try seltzers. You can try flavored water infused with fruits or herbs. You just don't want to buy those watery type drinks that are flavored with added sugars. You don't want to do that. But yes, like Ted asked the question, Crystal Light is a good option as well. So, any questions related to the water intake? That fundamental? All right. And again, I'll grab that chat if it comes up, which now takes us to one of the resources we talked about earlier. A chat came up, Crystal. I'm assuming that first word, is it unsweetened tea? That's what I'm going to do. Unsweetened tea is perfect. By the way, I'm drinking unsweetened tea. So, yes, you can do that. Yes, unsweet coffee, you can do that. Just make sure the coffee, if you want to go 0 calorie with that coffee, make sure you don't add the added sugar. You don't add all that heavy cream and all of that. Just drink it black. Okay. All right. Good questions. All right, which now takes us to that one optional resource for this course that I talked about, and it's a record keeping tool which we call our Go Healthy Tracker. Now, the purposes of this Go Healthy Tracker, number one, it tracks that application of the fundamentals. Obviously, we've talked about the first two. Over the next several weeks, we'll talk about the other three. So it tracks that application of those fundamentals, and it also keeps you accountable. Anytime you can write down something toward goals, I think it really helps keep you accountable. So that's the purposes of the tracker, okay? Again, this is going to be optional for you. So some questions you might ask is, well, how do I access and submit that tracker? Well, don't worry, because tomorrow I will email everyone this tracker. I will email the link. You just simply click on the link. It opens up for you, and you would simply follow through the question. It's very easy to do. So you may say, well, what needs to be recorded on that first tracker? Well, on your email, I'm going to give you instructions on that. Plus, when you open up that tracker, it'll basically tell you exactly what to do. And the good thing is, every tracker over the next 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, will target the fundamentals. So you're going to see your tracker questions will grow over the next 3 to 4 weeks. So again, it's very easy to do. I will give you instructions though when I send you that email with the tracker link. Then you might ask, well, when do I submit this tracker? Well, you will submit this tracker the day of each week's class. So next Monday, before class, you'll submit that tracker to me. And I just generally like to look over those trackers just to kind of get the pulse of the class as well. Again, it is optional. It's not required. It just helps me kind of fill the crowd out and see what the pulse is like. So again, tomorrow I will email everybody the tracker. It is optional with the instructions, with the link. It's very simple to do, but I think it's a great thing to do as far as accountability. So any questions on that tracker? Okay. And again, if you type in a chat, I'll grab it when it comes through. Which now takes us close to the end, and that's the week's action steps. Like I said earlier, at the end of every class, we're going to come up with an action step for you to do for the upcoming week. So the week's action step is to apply that first and that second fundamental of the program. The first being the guide to smart food choices, and then the second one being water intake with a goal of 64 ounces per day. Again, if you're not anywhere near that, don't set 64 ounces as your goal right now. You might set 32 ounces as your goal right now, and over time you work toward the ultimate goal of 64 ounces. So that's your action steps for the week. And you're going to see if you do use that optional tracker, that tracker will reflect these 2 action steps. Okay. And then next week's topic is we're going to talk about that third fundamental, which is your fruits and your vegetables. That's what we will target next week, moving beyond that. And we're also going to kind of introduce and talk to you more about the My Plate food guide. Okay. So, does anybody have any questions or comments before we go for the day? Okay. You're welcome. And like I did say, if you did call in, and I know I'd see one number that called in, just make sure you email me after class just to let me know who it is and what number you called in so I can get you in attendance so you can definitely make sure your name is in that drawing. For everyone else, I do have your name here. And again, I did record this. And in the next few days, when I convert this over to YouTube, I will be sending them out to everybody. So thank y'all very much. If y'all ever need anything, don't hesitate to shoot me an email or call my office. And like someone said, I'm looking forward to the journey as well. So y'all have a great night, and I'll see y'all next Monday. Thank y'all.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Oh, thank you.